Welcome to AI Chain Reaction, the podcast where we unpack the incredible world of artificial intelligence and automation. Each week, we're diving deep into the tech that's reshaping our lives, our businesses, and our future. From groundbreaking innovations and the latest industry news to practical strategies on how you can leverage AI automation for growth. We're covering it all. We'll be joined by leading experts, innovators, and thought leaders who are at the forefront of this digital revolution. Are you ready to explore how one small change can set off a massive chain reaction of progress? Then you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome back to AI Chain Reaction, the show where we unpack how AI and automation are transforming the way we work, move, and deliver value. I'm Nick Winters, and today our topic is right up our alley. We're talking about trucking compliance and operational growth. That's right, and our special guest today from Dakota Group, which is a fast-growing firm in the trucking compliance space. Please welcome Tariq Soliman. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me here. Big fan of the show. Really excited to be on board and talk to me. It's top of mind. Whether it's from the first question we have here.
Yeah, so Dakota Group is described as a full-service partner for trucking compliance and growth. Before we unpack what that means, I'd love to hear a bit about your background. Tariq, you have an MST and you're the CFO and COO. How did you end up in the world of DOT regulations in trucking?
Absolutely. To get into like DOT and FMCSA compliance, I'll take a step back where I did my undergrad in finance. I worked in financial advisory, family office, and then accounting work. Very quickly, I was wondering, why is the head of investments a tax attorney? When I talked to him, he said, clients care a lot about that 30%. It could really change a 20% investment if there's a 30% tax drag. And so I went to get my master's in taxation, really just to service clients a little bit better. I was already working with a lot of clients on a financial advisory capacity. And that brought me over to Rip Holtz, where I worked with them on some podcast development, a lot of tax planning, assisting them with tax efficient investing. And that led me to get a referral to a gentleman named Ethan Aberbush, the founder and CEO of Dakota Group. And so I was a client. He was a client of mine so Ethan Aberbush was a client of mine for 3 years. And then I was offering him outsourced CFO work for a long time. And it was a lot of fun where I got to learn about the industry kind of from the sidelines. And it always blew my mind. When I better understood that he kind of created a self-filing tool, I guess similar to maybe how TurboTax or Intuit were back in the 90s. I always asked him, what's next, what's going on? And that kind of led to our closer relationship where I took on more time as outsourced CFO. I helped him with budgeting, fair negotiations, getting more mail, getting more good contracts from marketing. And it just became a natural transition to bring me on the team there. And so over here now, it's been really fun. I work as the CFO and head of operations. It's been a pleasure overseeing the team, growing them from 18 to 50 around now from February to date. So it's been a very quick ramp up. They now have dedicated in-house sales, compliance, consumer success, data science, operations, engineering, and IT. And I really have a very strong background from what I've learned and the partners I've had through that growth that allow me to get good hiring, get good managers, and get people who are a lot smarter than me to help me solve these problems. So we build all of our infrastructure in-house. You could really think of us as a self-filing tool and kind of like your local regional accounting firm, where we noticed it's a bit of an underserved industry. And it was a natural transition to hopefully come serve this industry.
That's really cool, CFO and compliance guru. So before we dive into the serious stuff, just a quick icebreaker. What's one thing about DOT compliance that would surprise an outsider? Any fun fact or common myth?
I love that question. I think the biggest thing that would surprise outsiders is, especially right now in this age of uncertainty with government, is a big responsibility that is cascading down from the government to the clients and to the drivers. There's 2.3 million DOT holders in the country, and everybody thinks of them as truckers. So I like to talk about. So if you own farmland, if you do manufacturing for food and beverage, restaurant groups, the people who own these trucks, the clients that have a DOT, it's anybody in the country with a truck on the balance sheet. When I learned that, it really changed my perception of it. People at these conferences, people affected by this complex regulatory environment. Second you buy a truck, you're subject to it, especially if you're crossing interstate lines. So it's a very big family of a bunch of niche industries within them, from plumbing to manufacturing to aerospace. It's been a lot of fun learning the different sub-markets.
Definitely. Yeah, no, definitely. When you zoom out and look at the wider DOT landscape, what major shifts or trends do you think are shaping the future of the industry?
I love that question, Nick. I say the biggest trend I'm seeing is a lot of password and portal fatigue. we have a lot of partners that have amazing tools, whether it's from like load management, ELDs for live tracking, navigating with a huge amount of technologies that our partners use with AI, machine learning, everything of that nature to really give you a one-stop shop to book your loads and one-stop shop to handle everything. But I've noticed in the compliance space, similar to tax, my clients, they like to call me and say, is it done? I'd say yes. I'd send them the confirmation. Once we started rolling out portals, anything of that nature, I saw a big allergic reaction. And so what I see as the future here is giving them that trusted compliance consultant that has the technology behind it, rather than the other way around. I see a lot of people selling these large trucking companies software. And the last thing I think they need is another login. There's a lot of tools out here that are giving them that incremental efficiency. And at least for what we do, we're very able to let them just go right in, put their DOT and get their status. Call our team, get your status, and talk to an expert. All of our sales and compliance members are US based, and our clients respond really positively to that. Whereas our infrastructure, we hire top across the world, from Martinique to Peru to Mexico, and our engineering.
Wow.
So it's been a lot of fun.
That's incredible. Yeah. Let's set the stage about trucking compliance. A lot of our listeners may not know how big of a deal this is. Tariq, can you paint a picture of what's at stake? Like, what happens if a trucking company isn't 100% compliant?
That's one of the most poignant questions we've been dealing with, Nick, where when we get a lot of calls in with a lot of deep fear. Not to get too somber, but right now there's a lot of truck stops right now where you're gonna get stopped if your information is not completely accurate. There's a large risk, and of course it's our responsibility. We're very proud of it to provide the government every update they need. So our clients rely on us to keep their DOTs activated, because if your DOT is not activated, especially if you have drivers from out of the country, it can be a big risk. We're seeing a lot of ICE detainments at the borders, and what they're doing is relying on the information that they must. And so it's a big education opportunity that we see, where clients are calling us constantly, talking about these problems. And often the solution is updating your MCS 150. That'll let them know who's driving the truck, any critical updates, and calling a compliance team and working with a compliance team to know what's going to happen when you go to that truck stop. That's a really good question. It's really important to know when you're going in and not have any surprises. And that's probably one of the number one reasons I think working with a compliance team helps, or at least calling for a free consult, see how everything's going first. We're more than happy to tell anybody if they're activated how everything is.
Exactly. So Tariq, given that environment, what value does a firm like Dakota Group add for your clients? Why don't these trucking companies just handle it in-house?
I love that question. It's the same way it applies with the tax returns. Yeah. It's, you can spend 5 hours, 10 hours reading through the regulatory environment, another couple hours setting up whatever you need to maintain the files for it. I think about one filing that clients ask it a lot. It's a UCR, a Unified Carrier Registry. They're due by 12/31 this year. And the main item on that form is how many trucks do you have? Once you have over 900 trucks, it starts to become a very interesting question. When did I sell this one? When do we sell this one? Is that one over 10,000 pounds? Did that one go over state lines? Now all of a sudden there's 10 if-thens that'll change that number, and that number has to be exactly accurate. So what we like to do is, if we get the opportunity to work with the accountants and lawyers, look at last year's depreciation report, fixed asset additions, really make sure that there's no uncertainty. So we find helping our clients navigate that complex regulatory environment is really critical, because a lot of these forms, they seem simple, but it's not easy. And to mitigate risk is the name of the game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Given this show's focus, how is the technology and AI wave hitting trucking compliance? Are you seeking automation, AI chatbots, et cetera, in your niche?
Oh, I love that question, Nick. And for our company, relative to chatbots, big value of ours is kind of human first in the communication. We have a lot of partners that we love that are using chatbots very efficiently. But as we've been discussing before, for our clients, they'll reach out and say, am I activated or not? It's a funny one. For the tier 1 to tier 6 questions, we always let them be handled by humans. However, one thing that we're seeing out in the industry, from Amazon, Walmart, DHL even, we're big fans of their enterprise product, and we're working with them. We're looking to finalize some items with them. Their use of AI has been phenomenal. I find it even on the chatbot that I was interacting with the other day. I have a lot of partners where I might be utilizing the tool. Even we have clients within our ecosystem being referred to the tool. So I'd say the impact is huge. It's creating opportunities. It's creating new DOTs. It's giving people awareness of what to ask. It's bringing people to this podcast to hopefully listen to us and discuss. I think it's a big part of the future. And for what we're building infrastructure wise, it's all kind of machine learning, automations, if-then statements built. We build everything in ASP.NET, C#, Volter. Okay. We self-host a bit just to make sure that when Amazon's down, we don't have to worry. But to say it's completely off the roadmap, as of now, It's not on our personal roadmap. When it comes
Mhm.
to partnerships that we meet every day, I always get very excited to see what people are building.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's incredible that you're not connected to Amazon because it does happen from time to time. So, where do you see the biggest opportunities for innovation or impact within compliance right now?
I think the biggest one is kind of just uniform data right now with communications. So much fragmented communications from this deadline to this deadline, and we have our MVP kind of tackling it now with just our communications to all 2.3 million DOT holders. We have a little bit north of a $7 million data science budget, not on ads or anything. It's a little bit much higher than that for ads, but just on our pure data scientists and our engineers to really gather that list of the 2.3 million DOT holders in the country, make sure the information is accurate. So when we're reaching out to them, we update when we get information from our clients. We utilize HubSpot for the CRM on the side for our sales and CS, and that speaks with our database to ensure we have the best data in the industry. So when we're working with our partners, we're able to really tailor solutions, whether that's finding the clients that really need factoring. It's a funny one that comes up, and I know it's controversial. Our founder, he started with when he started doing he was running freight to begin with, and he wouldn't have been able to keep his monthly payments done without factoring. Of course, he's long past that, but that need comes up all the time, and I guess I see a big opportunity for really isolating tailored cross sell opportunities because as I know some big markets in this industry, you have to get so specific. So the more that these
Definitely.
can get together and find ways to package goods, sure, but find people that need the same services and kind of work off that bandwidth. I think that's going to be huge. There's no one ecosystem where even a good way to think about it is I like to think of NerdWallet as an example of the financial space. You go there, you could get a deal with Deloitte, with any company there, any credit card company is a referral partner there. I think that's the future that I'm seeing. I don't know that that's where our company's heading to, but with what we're building, I see that becoming a natural. It's a confluence of what these new innovations are leading to.
But yeah, absolutely. So, can you describe that command vault? It sounds intriguing, like mission control for paperwork, specifically how much manual effort is still involved in getting the raw data into the vault, and how do you ensure the data is 100% clean, verified for compliance?
Question. So for MCS 150s and UCR, the answer is it can require zero interaction from the client whatsoever, just phone
Oh, that's
calls,
awesome.
everything through the phone if they want. There are items like drug testing where you have to show up, you have to take the test, you have to pee in the cup. It's mandated by that. It's everybody, DOT holders are required to do those random tests. So with the command center, what it does is it really powers those automations to allow us to take all the data of when was the last violation, when are you due, when's your renewal. So if they call us saying, hey, I think I need to file this. We very often say, no, you're not due until this time.
Yeah.
Command
Yeah.
center let them know that. I find that, and that clears up our call queues. It helps us make more money. Just very selfishly and selflessly, we love when we can tell clients what they need and when they don't need it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And going off of that, what would you say has been your biggest innovation or differentiator that fueled your growth? Was it the in house tech, the service model, or something else?
I think it was the service model. I think the biggest thing I'm noticing that in the industry is everybody kind of grew from small to huge, and
Yeah.
nobody took that space of like, hey, thank you for doing business. Here's your client success rep. Call them whenever you'd like. And we're building a lot more, but we find that's what resonates with people the most when they know that they can call a subject matter expert that's been working in the space for 3 to 10 years and know that when they call back, it's going to be that same person. And I think that part is very poignant.
Definitely. Going off of that, so now I'd like to touch on client outcomes. Do you have a favorite success story? Maybe a client that was in a rough shape compliance wise and through working with you turned it around?
I do. I could think of a client that reached out that needed a plethora of services that came through both our network and through our direct offerings. So I guess it's a good
Mhm.
time to mention the enterprise offerings where
Yeah.
we had a client that had a big fear about DOT stops. General truck stops wanted to make sure that they were compliant. So it was a quick MCS 150 to update who was the driver. And they needed their UCR and they called back in July. So we gave them a good discount. And they were like, I'll take care of it now. So we got them ready for pre-filing, everything of that nature. And then what came up was they called us and they said, our insurance company stopped providing workers' comp. And I'm like, what's going on? It's like, so it's very, a lot of the listeners will know is it's very, very difficult to have workers' comp as a trucking company, especially if you're starting tomorrow.
Okay.
For your general liability, first year you go with, typically people go with Progressive. And I remember we did that when we had trucks. It was a lot of fun. They're great, but the optionality is not large for the small market.
Mhm.
So the biggest success story I saw was kind of coring up our core compliance offerings with just the partners in our ecosystem who we were able to just kind of introduce and lift that problem for them the same way that was lifted for us. And then we were able to see that repeat quite a bit. So now whenever we see anybody mention that, we know you have a really good partner, Bartlett Business Services, BBSI. They do that payroll, workers' comp, really everything. And they're very similar, all human first. They have some cool AI tools they're working on, though.
Yeah.
I don't misquote me. I believe so. They're very
Yeah.
so I'd say just getting somebody on the road going is always my favorite. And sometimes it's letting somebody know how simple something is. And one time
Definitely.
it's the UCR, is it just truck count? They said, well, yes, but and we explained the interstate versus intra, what trucks count, when the purchase date, et cetera. And it was fun to really earn that business for this. I don't want to look into all that. Let me give you the
Yeah.
information. So I think those are the
Definitely.
two biggest ones.
Any common mistakes you see companies make with compliance? Maybe something listeners can learn to avoid.
Absolutely. I think the biggest one is the due dates for an MCS 150. That comes up all the time.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
very it's just based on a very strange logic set that gives you a specific month and year, and then it's biennial every 2 years. That's the biggest thing that we see with our clients as well. We love those calls. It ends up they call in and they'll say like, "Hey, Charlene, how are we doing my MCS 150 this year?" Because no, it's actually next July. How's everything going? How's the kids? That's the biggest thing I notice people get wrong is they don't know the deadline because everything typically is annual with compliance, but the MTS 150 is a biannual update. So that's the biggest thing I see people. A lot of people will file it through like a self-filing tool and might not have the
Mhm.
infrastructure to say like, no, you can't file. You already paid. Give the refund. So like that's a big thing I'll hear is somebody say, I already filed this 5 times. And I said, all right, let's take a look. Let me see if I can help you with that.
Oh yeah.
Didn't file it with us 5 times. That was a big thing to watch for. Is a lot of people don't know how many times they need to update, when they need to update.
So, what's one key factor that distinguishes high growth in this industry that some businesses fail to do?
So it's just a combination of those small touch points where there's you either close the trunk properly, you park at the exact right spot. If you're not there, it could all of a sudden lead to we can't unload you. You
Mhm.
didn't unload. With legals reaching out, it's fast. It's a game of inches, meters even. So I'd say precision is the biggest thing. Companies that can say precise with their operations, with their procedures, and with their team structure. Really having a good culture is everything. Having a team that's willing to kind of go the extra mile and dig deep.
Absolutely, yeah, I can agree more with that. So, Dakota Group's value is built on mitigating risk and ensuring every deadline is hit. As you've scaled to 50 employees and taken on Fortune 500 clients, what is the single most time-consuming, repetitive workflow that currently eats up your compliance experts' time? The one task, if you could automate it, would free up your team to focus purely on strategic client advising?
I love that question. I think a big one would be similar to when I think of like New York State, California State, many states, and the
Mhm.
IRS allow for a business portal to allow third parties to not only log in and support one client but their whole client base. I think it would be working with the government, and we have that on our roadmap, trying to talk to the centers, everything of that nature, to hopefully one day have a portal. There's really good API connections available with FMCSA, DOT's next, just kind of getting that development. I think that would really bring everything together there. And forgive
Definitely.
me, did I answer the question properly there?
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. No, that's a good answer. So, what's been the toughest part of getting the Dakota Group services into the hands of your ideal customers? Are there any bottlenecks you're experiencing around pipeline outreach or lead conversion?
So I'd say the bottlenecks are the blessings of this industry. The
Yeah.
people in this area, they don't work on the holidays, they don't work on the weekends, and then when they are, they're
Yeah.
working. OTR drive, they're driving, they're unloading, and they're going home. It's very interesting. When I worked in public accounting, you'd bill time. You'd be required to bill 1,600 hours a year, even if you already finished a lot of the work. They'll find more work. So there was a lot
Exactly.
of hanging around the break room, being there 7 days a week, maybe being there for 100 hours and working 70. What I've loved is the precision in this industry. When it comes to that, the hardest place to reach the clients is on the weekends at night. And it's nice. We get to give our team off always on those days. Holidays, it's refreshing. I've always worked in industries where typically holidays, things of that nature, people might be catching up. I find that all the Google ads, LinkedIn ads, everything of that nature is holidays are time for the family in this industry, which is what the truckers deserve. Nobody's thinking about. Rather, I know everybody on this podcast, everybody listening is. It's interesting how little consideration and how few the tools are that are built for the people that are really fueling the economy, moving everything around that'll give us the food that keeps us going in the morning. It's
Definitely. Yeah. No,
yes,
I like that. So, I like to circle back to AI one more time, but in a fun way. If you could wave a magic wand and instantly have a piece of AI tech that maybe doesn't exist yet fully, what do you want for Dakota Group?
I love that. I really like that question. I ask if you could wave the magic wand to my team all the time when I'm building solutions. I don't get that asked to me enough. I would say a big one would be maybe a combination of what Zoom Info would do. That tool, if you're familiar, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, a combination of all
Yeah.
the lead generation tools that they could work together and get. One thing I found is, of course, any tool that gets the verification from the client, from the user in any way is going to have the best data.
Yes.
They could
Oh
find a way
yeah.
to get the clients to buy in. If I could wave a wand and say, let's have a lead generation tool that, even a client information tool, I'd say, because we generate our lead gen sources through those. If the clients could interact with it, it could be fun. I think that would be a fun one to do because nobody likes non-targeted mail. I definitely received ads for maybe a Chase Sapphire card. I'm still shopping for one. It's on my to-do list. But came in and it spelled my name wrong. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I just don't trust this link anymore. So I'd say clean up a lot of marketing data across multiple data sets. That's going to be fun for me to see.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, that'd be awesome. Tariq, this has been an incredibly insightful discussion. Thank you for peeling back the curtain on the compliance side of logistics. I think our listeners gained a new appreciation for how critical and complex it is and how you can actually turn it into a competitive advantage with the right approach. Where can people learn more about you and Dakota Group or get in touch with your team?
And thank you, Nick. It's an absolute pleasure coming on. And I'd say to everybody listening who wants to follow us on LinkedIn. Check us out right on our website, dakotagroupus.com. If you want, reach out to our director of sales directly. I'll call him 2-540-235. Or, of course, self-file anytime at FMCSA.com. We have our self-filing tools there. And you'll notice there's a customer support number in the top right. Call there. You can call any of our teammates if you have any questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And for everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to go follow Tariq and Dakota Group and follow AI Chain Reaction on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube for more conversations at the intersection of AI, logistics, and business innovation.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of AI Chain Reaction. Thank you so much for tuning in and exploring the incredible world of AI and automation with us. We hope today's discussion sparked some new ideas and gave you valuable insights into how these technologies are shaping our future. Don't let the conversation stop here. What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. For more resources and to learn how AI automation can transform your business, visit us at wintersAIsolutions.com. Thanks again for being part of our community. Until next time, keep innovating and stay curious.